Hey guys, here I am again, Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair, and this time we're going to be demonstrating a Delco 8-Track player that's been converted for use with a converted or a reproduction radio. Give a brief rundown on what happens here on a typical Delco system where the radio and 8-Track are separate components. The way that the car wiring harness is configured, the speakers and 12-volt power connect directly to the 8-Track, and then the 8-Track decides whether power and speakers go to the radio or to the 8-Track depending on whether or not there's a tape inserted. Now this results in a really complex multi-directional signal flow that if you're buying an 8-Track player that's not exact to the car, that's not the exact correct unit for your car, you're probably going to have some trouble figuring out all the wiring harness. But if you have a reproduction radio or a converted radio, then you've already changed the car wiring to get the maximum output power from the radio, meaning that the speakers are no longer grounded, and each speaker has its own dedicated pair of wires, a plus and a wire. No grounds, a plus and a minus. Minus is not ground in this situation. Minus is basically hot. Both plus and minus are hot, so that's why none of the speaker wires can be grounded. Now, since a Delco 8-Track player is a common ground unit, that will not work with a reproduction radio. So what I do with this is the unit, the original unit. And by the way, this is out of a 70 Olds Cutlass Rallye 350. It comes from Robert in Osage, Iowa. Oh, thank you, Robert. I don't get many jobs from Iowa. That's a nice change. So this is your typical Delco 8-Track player, of course. And then the way that I convert it is I rip out all the old electronics. I go back in with my own designed special head preamp to bring out the brightness that's lost as tapes age and as the heads wear. My preamp gives a nice treble boost to bring that brightness back out. And then needless to say, the 8-Track becomes just an aux source to plug into your radio's aux input. And so here are the connectors I install for that. You'll notice that I've got two sets of RCA jacks. This is the one that goes to your radio's aux input. And then since the 8-Track uses up your radio's aux input, I add an aux input to the 8-Track player. That way, whenever there's no tape in, anything fed to these jacks will go straight to the radio. So that's how we reconfigure an 8-Track to work with a reproduction radio for best possible sound quality. Let's go ahead and hook her up. Let's see. We're going to plug in our RCA plugs here, and that's all you have left on this 8-Track player after the conversion. Is you've got a hot and a ground wire to connect the power. You may not even need the ground wire because the unit's probably grounded to the car frame anyway. And then you've got your RCA jacks. The only thing that will still work on the 8-Track is the track change button, because all your volume, balance, and tone settings will be done at the radio now. This will take advantage of the radio's superior amplifiers. It's going to sound a lot better than this thing originally did with its own amplifiers. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and test her out. We've got speakers hooked up. Let's get our power hooked up here, or not speakers hooked up, but I've got it going into my bench receiver that has speakers connected to it, of course. All right, now we can test her out. Turn my receiver down because it's got a really sensitive overload circuit. Go ahead and pop a tape in. And here we go. Okay, look at our speakers. Okay, so we know we got both sides working. Okay, and that's it. There's just not much to test on a converted 8-Track player. Just make sure it plays, switches tracks, and everything else is done at the radio now. So that concludes this test. It's ready to go back, and I'm ready to get on to the next job. I'm Barry with Barry's 8-Track and Classic Car Radio Repair, and to reach me for service, please visit the website that's in the description below. My website has a work order that you can download and print. That work order will answer all your questions about all the options I offer, their prices, including options for turn time. That's going to be on page 9 of the work order. That's the way to get my attention. If you call me on the phone with a 20-minute barrage of questions, I'm likely to just say, I don't work on that model or this or that. If you take too much of my time on the phone, you're probably not going to get service from me, because my workload, as a result of my 16-year reputation of excellence, combined with my A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and being BBB accredited for the last 10 years with an A-plus rating, my workload is tremendous. I get the lion's share of all the A-track work because I'm the only guy in the world that has new motors for them and builds a new preamp, all that stuff. I'm one of the only guys who has a sandblaster to properly resurface capstans. So because of the full range of services I offer on A-track work, and the fact that a lot of old cars have A-tracks in them, my workload is just tremendous, and I don't waste time on the phone answering the same questions from each new customer. Those questions will be answered on my website and in the work order. So calling me when you've already got a work on your hand is going to be much better, because then it's going to be like a 3 or 4 minute conversation instead of 30 minutes. So please do that. Please respect my need to have time on the bench and to not be on the phone all day long. Please follow the channels that I require the customer to go through, and that will assure that your units come back in great shape and ready to last a good 10 years or more. So thanks so much for watching and listening. Thank you, Robert, for your business all the way from Osage, Iowa, and we'll see you guys next time.